All right, people, I'm in one of those moods. I'm in one of those moods. I'm tired of hearing about critical race theory. I'm sick of it. Every time I turn around, people complaining about critical race theory. They don't want it in the schools. Listen, I'm not trying to teach your kids nothing. I'm not trying to force any type of doctrine on anybody. And my thing is, if you had a separate state, we wouldn't have this discussion. That's just how it is. You want to fix race relations, give different races what they want. Give them their own space. I don't want stop with this understanding. No matter what, they're talking, understand, helps us understand racism and how it works in the laws and this type of stuff. No, we don't need no understanding. People, no matter what, are going to always gravitate more towards the people in their group, in their racial group. The majority of them, not all of them, they're going to be those, who are very integrationalist minded. But most people are going to, be off to themselves. That's just the way it is. You can't stop racism with understanding, because racism, it really does not express itself in overtly hostile ways. It just doesn't. Sometimes it can manifest itself in a friendly way. If if the employer wants to hire the guy down the street in his own community, he's going to find a reason to. Over the other guy. Nothing, you can't stop that. If he wants to promote the guy that's across the street from him, rather than the guy across town, okay, if he wants to promote the guy from his community, nothing can stop him. Do you understand me? So this is just a endless, pointless game to me. It's pointless. What is it supposed to accomplish? It don't accomplish nothing. This is that Martin Luther King. That's what this is. This is very liberal. Very plantation like. This is plantation stuff. Oh, if everybody just understand, what? People will just start acting different? Like, what are you talking about? People are going to gravitate towards other people who speak their language. Is that true or not? Isn't that a mandatory divide between groups? Language? Aren't you more likely to move to a community if everybody there speaks your language? Is that true or not? You don't want to live somewhere where nobody understands you and you don't understand anybody. You simply don't want to live there. If you somehow find yourself in a place like that, you're going to do everything in your power to get out of there. Is that or is that not true? Some things divide people. And people, it's the people who decide to look at that as a bad and evil thing, and that is goofy. That's just goofy to me. It does not make sense. You can't just have a knee-jerk reaction and react on impulse. You have to ask serious questions and put things under a microscope. Now, I was on Twitter today, and I saw this video. What did I do with this video? Right here. I don't know when this was. I assume it was recent. But listen to this.
And then I'm a big believer in affinity space and affinity work. And I think people of color need to get away from white people and have some community with each other. And I'll let that go and maybe see if anyone else wants to pick it up.
Yeah, people of color need to get away from white people and have some community of their own. Said people of color need to get away from white people and have some community of their own. I don't know why there was an uproar about this, because obviously she's not talking about, she's talking about a specific group of people. She's not talking about all black people, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, just based on the facts that are available to support what she's saying. The only thing that's available are the blacks. She's talking about interracial relationships. What else can she be talking about? She's not talking about the black people who are living in black communities, operating, working in black communities. Obviously, she's not talking. At least I don't think she is. Maybe she is. I don't know. She's talking about the swirlers. She's talking about the black people who try to force themselves into white society. Oh, what else is it? That's literally. Now, let's ask a question. Is that smart advice? Is that smart advice? I know they say this is a free world, but there's some areas that's a little more dangerous for you than others. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Some parts of town are more dangerous for you than others. Is it smart for you to try to force the people to accept you wherever you're talking about? It can be the suburbs. It can be the white part of town, black part of town. If it's a bad part of town, do you think it's smart, especially for you, if you're an identifiable person and it's common to find people in that part of town with hostility towards you? But is it smart to try to force yourself into that community? I mean, you might move into there and nothing happens. Don't get me wrong. Maybe nothing happens. Or you could move there and something happens. But even worse than that, we got lopsided statistics. Don't we? Health. Oh, you got a long list of health problems, don't you? That black people lead in. Heart disease, hypertension. I know black women lead, or at least let me say, according to the statistics, which could be wrong. I don't know. But they say that black women more often will have a stillborn, a premature child, or miscarry. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Right? Fill me in on that. I might not be up to date with my information. But there's a list, a good list, heart attacks. Here recently, I've been hearing about a lot of black males dying at a real early age, just mysteriously, in their 50s, some in their late 40s. Some of them having like heart failure and all this kind of stuff at a real early age. You look at the many issues and then ask yourself, does it make sense for black people to focus on themselves or not? Simple question. If you're having more problems on average, does it make sense for you as a group to focus on the problems running rampant amongst yourselves? Right? It makes sense to me. Right? Maybe that's that. Now, I don't know what she was talking about, but they're in the uproar about it. You know? Another thing that they're saying is, if it were, she's complaining, like this female, she's complaining about what is said here because she's saying that it's acceptable for this woman to say that because it's an anti-white statement. And that if you were to say that white people need to get away from black people, then it would be, everybody would be up in the uproar and they would call them a racist. Oh, how dare you say such a racist thing like that, to say that white people need to get away from black people. Right? But obviously, you couldn't be talking about white people who don't surround themselves with black people. It's like, what are we talking about? It's like, okay, who are you talking about? Oh, yeah. Look, we've heard a lot of crazy stories, right? Guys going out in the woods hunting together, and one of those guys end up getting shot. End up in a garbage bag somewhere mysteriously. Oh, we don't know what happened. You know, at the end of the day, either people giving you good, smart advice or they're not. Forget about being politically correct or incorrect. That's what it all boils down to. Does what you say make sense? Now listen to this. Now I don't know when he said this. When did he say this? But this is Rush Limbaugh. We all know Rush Limbaugh is a Nazi or something, right? Klan member or something like that. Wait a minute. Okay, let's rewind this here. Now listen to this guy. Listen to this lunatic.
Besides that, a little history lesson for you. No, that's all good. If any race of people should not have guilt about slavery, it's Caucasians. The white race has probably had fewer slaves and for a briefer period of time than any other in the history of the world. Now, sadly, we're not talking about the rest of the world when the civil rights...
Now listen, without dealing with, well, I'm going to deal with what he said. But my thing is, I don't care what you think or what you feel guilty about. They talk as if all black people are out here trying to make white people feel guilty. Like, where is this coming from? Where is that even coming from? Like, why are you even speaking in defense of yourself like that? It's like, is somebody forcing this conversation onto you? Like, are you being ordered by your bosses to, apologize for like, where is this even coming from? You see, so people like this, to me, are lunatics. People like this are lunatics. And listen, if this man had his own white state, they wouldn't be complaining. What would they have to complain about? The schools in the white state, they teach whatever they want. At the very least, they don't have to teach critical race theory. And this is essentially, he was commenting on critical race theory because a lot of people, they're looking at critical race theory overall as a way to just make white people feel guilty about being white. So what do they have to lose for advocating for their own state? Do you want a solution or not? Or do you just want to complain nonstop? Because that's where we're at. Constant complaining about what's being brought into the schools. Oh, I hate critical race theory. Well, listen, why don't you advocate for a white state? Okay, there'll be a white state, maybe far over there, and a black state far over there. You teach whatever you want in your state. You see, I'm all for setting up a society where nobody even has a chance to complain about nothing. On top of that, relationships between people of the same race is hard enough. It's hard enough for people of the same race to get along. Like, human relations is challenging. But when you add in a race factor, that could be like a recipe for disaster. So, is it intelligent or not to have these states, which there should be? There's no reason why there isn't now. We should have been born into a world like that to cater to those people. Listen, all white people that don't want to live around black people, they're all right as long as they're not around them. They're not out to hurt black people. You know, they just want to live in their own community because they're community people. They like to know their neighbors. And if you're not white like this, I'm just saying some white people are like this. I'm not saying they're all like this. Obviously, some of them are like this. If you're not the same as them, you know, they're uneasy about that. They can't really get to know you. And it's some of these people, they're wired where they get full of anxiety anytime they see you because they just don't know your mind. They don't know what's going on in your mind. Some people are like that. They're just, I don't think it's normal, you know, but when you pay close attention to these racists, you find out that these are people who are they're just messed up in the head. They're like they have poor balance. They get paranoid quick, real paranoid. They have a hard time relaxing. Some of them, but boy, when you see them, it's like they're shaking nonstop. They're real frantic. They're real defensive. They take everything you do and say as a threat, and you know, they're always scared. always feel threatened and challenged. Like, in general, these are just crazy lunatics. Like, there are many white people who don't want to live around them. These people I'm talking about. Okay? Those types of unstable people need to have a state to themselves. They need to have a state themselves. And listen, there's a whole list of benefits for both groups if there were a state. Because I don't think it would be smart to just make a black state. Because there would be a lot of whites. Okay, where's our state? And obviously there should be one. Why force people to have to live in an integrated society if that's not what they want? Why not just give them what they want? What's wrong with that? It's not hate. Like, where is this even coming from? We got Chinatown in some places. Well, Chinese people live there. Who cares? So what if you have a section of land cut off for a certain group? Goddamn, who cares? People are just flipping goofy, man. And they insist on keeping problems just festering nonstop. Okay? Now look. Now when we get our state, we not only need to get a state, we gonna have to get that check. That check and that state. Right? And look, the rest of America, you can be just as integrated as you want. You can we all the world all you want. You can teach whatever you want in your schools, your mixed schools, your integrated schools and societies. Force critical race theory on your students then, on your integrated society, since you want everybody to get to know each other. And there's nothing wrong with that. But look, there's nothing wrong with learning how different laws impact black people on average worse. I have no problem teaching that. My thing is, for what? For what? I mean, the people who really don't want to hear that, they're not going to hear it. No matter if you teach it, they're not going to, So what's the point? People will want to learn what they want to learn. They're going to gravitate towards what they want to gravitate towards. And some people, they want a part of this land, of this earth, to themselves, and they should have it. Teach whatever you want. Right? I'm about solutions. See, you set up a society where nobody can complain. I don't want to hear no more complaining about racism. No complaining from nobody, white or black. I don't want to hear nothing, no complaints. You ain't got nothing to complain about. If you tired of racism, move to one of them states. Then you ain't got nothing. See, people want something to complain about. A lot of these lunatics, they want something to complain about. And if they don't have nothing to complain about, there's no drama in their life, they will whip something up, pull something out of thin air. Okay? We need a world where we don't have to worry about whether race was a factor in the police have to arrest someone or chase someone down, rough somebody up. Wouldn't it be a nice, pleasant world if stuff like that could happen and you didn't have to worry about whether racism was a factor? Maybe somebody gets shot or, just get roughed up or whatever. Then you won't have to hear all these goofy articles written. Oh, black cop, white cop, constantly complaining. If I don't hear no solutions, that's just infuriating. Okay, you complaining. Okay, you got racist cops all across the country. Uh, Racist groups have infiltrated police departments all across the country. You just want me to understand that, huh? You just want to come into school and teach me that, huh? Oh, okay. Just share some. What's your solution? How do you fix it? Well, you get them to understand and take them down to the Black History Museum and maybe they'll understand. That's what you talk. That's what you want to do. Lord have mercy. Do y'all know some of the most violent racist terrorists in world history? They demonstrated in their writings that they was very well versed in Black history. They were very familiar with Black history. They knew it very, very well. And it didn't make them love Black people anymore. Shouldn't we question whether or not this is a failure? You know, this is an attempt to reform racist and remove racism. As far as I understand this goofy critical race theory, the intent is to combat racism, right? But what if it just doesn't work? What makes you think understanding racism will make a person who feel like he or she benefits from racism want to give it up? If they discover that they receive some type of privilege for being white, you think they will want to surrender it simply because they understand exactly how they obtain that privilege? I'm sorry, that makes no sense to me. That makes no sense to me. That's why I don't support pushing critical race theory. I'm not in the business to try to reform racists. No, I'm not trying to get them to understand and, oh, the suffering I've been through. Oh, we've had such a hard time. I don't give a damn with nobody. I don't care. The only thing I care about is what's owed to me. If something is owed to me, now you have my attention. Okay? Because now that's business. Right? It's business now. I'm not trying to, force a doctrine. I don't need you to understand. I don't need your kids to understand. Because I've found that, understanding, that don't do nothing. Some people just crazy. You think you can love or educate crazy out of some people? You must not know how crazy some people are, if that's what you think. So stop it. See, it would put an end to this woman right here. She wouldn't even have nothing else to talk about. This Allie Beth Stuckey. If there was a white state, she'd go out of business. She wouldn't have nothing to complain about. Some of these media people, some of these popular people, they're well known just from complaining about race issues. Yes. And that's all they do. I'm telling you, people have monetized racism itself. So they've gotten to the point where they're just playing with it like it's some type of game. That's when you know people been playing around and messing around with it for far too long. That's when you know it's been in the hands of a bunch of kids. That's either true or it's not. That's when you know it's been in the hands and it's been managed or mismanaged by a bunch of childlike buffoons. For there not to be a real attempt at a solution by now, that's embarrassing. Nobody can convince me that it's not smart to create a white state and a black state. But while you cutting that black state, cut that check. Okay, that needs to come with that state. That 40 acres and the mule is still old. That's still old. I don't have no immigrant grandparents or great grandparents. Not on either side. Yeah, my lineage is old. At some point in history, you go back far enough, each and every one of my grandparents was enslaved. And that's exactly why I didn't inherit anything. I literally inherited nothing because so many of my grandparents were enslaved. Don't try to ignore that crime. That's a robbery. Why do you think, on average, there are more white people with wealth, real wealth? I'm not talking about income or weekly checks. Real wealth. Why do you think there are more? It is exactly, explicitly, directly because of slavery. Because they were benefiting from that society. What are you talking about? Now, don't get me wrong. There are whites who didn't inherit any wealth. That's not what I'm talking about. I said on average. On average. And many people who didn't inherit loads of wealth, they at least inherited a house or something. A flipping car or something. Yeah, on average. But when you rob even one person for the entire duration of their life, you can't tell me that you didn't also rob their children. No, that was an injustice that has not been paid. That's real simple. Just like, listen, this is not a discussion. It's not a debate. Like I said, people have already received reparations already. Except Black Americans. They just want to hug us. No, yeah, they just want to have a barbecue and dance. Give everybody else reparations. Just give our money to Ukrainians, huh? Just here, take it. Well, why you giving money to everybody? Give money to us, the people you owe money to. And listen, this is a issue between Black America and the federal government. I don't want to hear no complaining from the everyday white person. You're not going to be impacted at all. Unless, of course, you own a business or whatnot, your business will pick up. You know, some of these people complaining, oh, reparations coming out of my tax dollars. Reparations has already come out of your tax dollars and mine too. All right. These are my political views. Black Americans are owed reparations. On top of that, hopefully one day I become a father. And I don't want my kids growing up in a society where they have to deal with a bunch of lunatics, where they have to deal with anything. I don't want them to have to deal with being referred to as a minority. You see, I want them to feel like the primary constituents in the society. Right? I don't want them to look at themselves as, lower class. And I definitely don't want no police. No crazy. I mean, these dudes is in gangs. This infiltrated the police department. According to the FBI, these people are white supremacist gangs. Yeah. And listen, I've had I know at least one, two. I've had two cops draw their gun on me in my life. Two. One, he grabbed it. He didn't point it at me. He thought a gun was in the car. The other one pointed it directly at me as he was walking towards me. The funny thing is, as he was walking towards me with his gun pointed directly at me, his partner was walking with him beside him. His partner was a female, a white woman. She did not draw her weapon. Not even, her hand wasn't even on her weapon. It was just him. Right? But I didn't budge, and I'm still here. But there's a chance I could not be here today. It could have all ended right there. Yeah, I don't want to live in a world where I can just get taken out by someone who's itching to take me out. Right? They get a pat on the back when they shoot me. Yeah. Call me crazy. I don't want police like that. Yeah. And it's a lot deeper than that. You know, there's a million complaints that I could come up with. There's complaints from white people, some white people. When I say white people or black people, I'm always usually just talking about some. There's complaints from some white people. They're tired of hearing black people complain. Well, if you move to a white state, you won't have to deal with that. See? Boom. Problem solved. No whining, no complaining. You see, nobody will have anything to complain about anymore. And that'll let you know who the real troublemakers are. Yeah? You got some white people who they're tired of being called a racist. Like this woman, Allie Beth Stuckey. She is always complaining about anti-white statements that are being made. Well, move to a white state. Then you got nothing to complain about. Nothing to complain about. This kind of stuff is very dangerous. These type of topics are extremely dangerous because it serves as fuel for the white supremacist terrorists. It's our responsibility to know the details in these cases that involved white supremacist terrorists. There have been a number of attacks, a number of them. And the terrorist attacks are just the tip of the iceberg. It's just the tip of the iceberg. You never know how anyone could impair your advancement, especially when they have positions of authority. All kinds of things can be done to you. You see, some people, they just don't want to live in a society like that. Yeah, it's just that simple. Those people should have a part of this country to go to. If not, then what exactly is supposed to make America so great? If you can't find comfort in that country, if you find that you complaining every day, you ticked off every day you mad, every day you complaining, you should have a world where you can go. Go and be happy. That is what would make America great. Yeah, of course, pay that debt and cut that state, cut those states. Make people happy. Make people happy. See, here's where they clarified it. He said wrong. She said black people should get away from white people, saying white people are the problem. No, that's not what she's saying. This lady, right here in this video, that's not what she's saying. She's not saying white people are the problem. Nah, that's not true. That's not true. She's actually saying that black people are the problem. That's what I got out of that statement. That black people got their priorities in the wrong places. Am I missing something? See, this person, whoever left this, is overly defensive. But this part is true, where they say it's okay if it's an anti-white narrative. That part is true, because if a white woman were to say that white people need to get away from black people, yeah, that would have went, that would have went viral. That would have been labeled as a racist statement, most definitely. And this is what the right wingers or the left wingers or whatever wingers, I don't even understand the left from the right, to be honest with you. Isn't the right the Democrats? The right is the Democrats, if I'm not mistaken. Right wing, no, that's the left. I don't know what it is. But this is true. It's okay if it's anti-white, but that was not anti-white, what she said. I don't think it was. It was in a way, as far as if she would have said white people need to get away from black people. Okay, I get that. But they're not saying that white people are the problem. They're saying that black people are the problem. Always got their nose up somebody else's butthole, trying to be somebody else, instead of focusing on themselves. I found that once you start to focus on yourself, that's when you discover your problems. Now back to what this dude said. This Rush Limbaugh character. Wait a minute, what happened here?
Besides that, a little history lesson for you.
No, that's all good.
If any race of people should not have guilt about slavery, it's Caucasians. The white race has probably had fewer slaves and for a briefer period of time than any other in the history of the world.
Now, that argument on its face is ridiculous. I mean, first of all, nobody, I don't get nothing out of you feeling guilty. What the hell is this all about? Make us feel guilty. Nobody out here trying to make you feel guilty. Where is this even coming from? This guilt discussion. Oh, make me feel guilty. Ain't nobody trying to make you feel guilty. I don't get that. I don't even know where that's coming from, to be honest. But to say that, or to suggest that, oh, it wasn't that bad because other people enslaved others longer than we enslaved black Americans. What? How slavery lasted, what, 250 years here? If I'm not mistaken, 250 years. That's a long time. And any person of morals would not try to minimize that in any way. You don't compare that. Also, oh, look, they were enslaved for 800 years. Who cares? Yeah, both of them, you're equally as guilty. What you talking about? Listen to this dude. And this is their logic. This is the extent of their arguments. Oh, well, they had slavery for longer. But still in all, I don't care if you feel guilty about that or not. It's not my intent to get you to feel guilty about it. It's my intent to make you understand that a debt was created during that period of time and long after. I mean, the debt continued to accumulate. Yeah, I want you to understand that, and not even you, like I said, this is with the federal government. The federal government enslaved black people. We got the same government here today. And really, that's none of your business. What black Americans campaign for, that's our business. We can demand whatever we want from a politician. And we'll just say, okay, well, if you don't give me what I want, I'm just not going to vote for you. Why is everybody up in arms about what we're campaigning for? I don't want to stop with that. Nothing coming out of your pockets. Your taxes are already being taken out. And the same thing would happen once we get our check cut. Everybody all in our business, man. Look, many of you other groups, I don't even know what the demands you're making to your politicians, and don't care. Make whatever demands. You know how many groups out there who have campaigned, who have told these politicians that they want something for their specific group?
One of the greatest reasons
Whoa.
for the increase in atheism.
So many different groups, racial groups in the United States have campaigned for themselves so many times for a governor, or say, hey, we want this, hey, we want that for our group. So listen, I know people hate it, but we're just the same. We're no different from anybody else. We're having a discussion with politicians, not you, the everyday person. You see what I'm saying? All these people out here giving their input on reparations. Shut up. It's none of your business. What the hell is wrong with these people? Okay, this stuff don't mean nothing to me unless it's directly related to a flipping check. I'm not trying to hear nothing else. And it's just incomplete to just give black people, black Americans a check. Black Americans who can prove their lineage. You better believe I'm ready to go. Should only go to them who was promised the 40 acres and a mule. Fool. This is the critical race nonsense right here.
The purpose of critical race theory is to provide Americans with a way to understand the legacy of racism.
Stop that. Stop. Stop trying to... Look, you don't try to impose no curriculum on other people's kids. Just flat out, man. Flat out. You can do that as long as people have somewhere to go where they don't have particular curriculums forced onto them. I believe if a group of white people don't want to learn this, they shouldn't have to. It's simple as that. And I don't give a damn. I don't care what's supposed to mean to me. I don't care if you understand and all that nonsense. Stop. You don't speak for me. I'm not out here, oh, come learn about my history. Get out of here, man. Oh, your tears, your hugs don't mean nothing to me. I just want people to understand a debt and to write a check. All that other stuff, I'm cool with that. Critical race theory.
Even though those stories sometimes hurt.
Even though those stories sometimes hurt. He's talking about what? Nah. If white people don't want their kids taking part in this curriculum, then they should have that. And many of them, they do. If they can afford it, they get them private schools. They send them to private schools. You don't worry about that. See how easy that is? Of course, everybody can't afford to do that. Now, I don't know. Is this going to be mandatory curriculum for even, I don't even know about private schools. I'm thinking private schools, they can teach whatever they want, right? They can reject something that's taught, or one of them Christian schools or whatever. They got all kind of schools. I don't even know why they complain about this, man. If they can just send their kids somewhere else.
And the legacy of racism, even though those stories sometimes hurt.
It's anti-American training that vilifies white people and demands they apologize.
See, this complaining is what I'm talking about. Now, if we had a white state, he could move there. And you wouldn't have to worry about no critical race theory. Huh? You're not teaching that in your schools, in your white state. There ain't nothing wrong with a white state. Huh? Let them have their state. It's better they have their state, because you can't just give black people a state and then leave the rest of America mixed. Because obviously the white people who want their own state, they're gonna lose it. They're gonna lose their whole mind. So you carve out a portion for those who wanted to, all white communities. All white communities. And listen, this is what our ancestors wanted. The real grassroots during the civil rights movement, we were not fighting for integration. We were not. All that integration, Martin Luther King marching and all that kind of stuff, that came later after people in high places got involved. Black Americans was campaigning for proper funding for the schools they already had. And then they say, oh no, we'll offer something better than that. You can just go to our schools. Go to white schools. Okay, good. We'll keep our money in our pocket. And we're not going to allocate funds to you for nothing. Understand, back during segregation, the black part of town was underfunded. We were still being deprived even long after slavery. Long after slavery. It was still, the protocol was still to economically deprive black people. Schools was everything was underfunded. We was fighting for equal funding. Underfunded for decades, and this is after bombs been dropped on the most successful Black Wall Street in America. There were multiple Black Wall Streets. This was after that took a heavy toll on Black America. The bombing of Tulsa took a heavy toll on the psyche of Black America, because that sent a message. It sent a message of terrorism. That if you're doing so well to the point where you have thriving communities, you have your own hospitals, your own medical services, your own theaters, your own stuff everywhere, your own banks. If you get to the point where you're doing that well, we'll just destroy it all. It wasn't just a personal attack against those businesses. That was an attack against all of Black America. So there's a debt, a massive debt. I don't care about reforming your feelings or getting you to love me or hug me. Go on somewhere with that. We owe the check. And I'm tired of hearing y'all complaining. Ain't nobody trying to usher no understanding or no curriculum. I'm not trying to take you to the African American Museum. You know what I'm saying? Just sign that check. Nobody trying to put pressure on you. Hey, think I want you to feel guilty. Get the hell out of here, man.
Vilifies white people and demands they apologize.
The best learning for students about social studies and about our democracy and our country is the learning where students can really grapple with the issues and really come to a deeper understanding of how our past informs our present.
Deeper under. What? Okay, for what? What's the end goal? What happens after we all get a deeper understanding? Because really, everybody has a good enough understanding as it is. What are you talking about? This is the information age. You put critical race theory in schools, most likely most of them know about it already. This is the digital era. What are you talking about? Who campaigning for this? This coming from think tanks and Democrats. Get out of here, man. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of racists will use code language and they'll refer to, like, if they want to say something against black people, instead they'll say critical race theory or whatever. Listen, all I'm saying is I'm not into trying to reform a filthy, disgusting, evil racist, because I know it cannot be done. It cannot be done. These people are absolute lunatics. Stop trying to speak for me. Okay, I don't like this idea of people running around thinking that these Jesse Jacksons or these Obamas running around here represent me or speak for me. I'm going to put that out there right now. I don't care what you learn. I don't care what you teach your kids. I don't care about getting no hug from you, right? If you want to give me a hug, that's fine. If you're a clean person, you're not infested with parasites. But listen, that's not my mission. Right? My mission is to continue what my grandparents started. And they wanted equal funding for their own stuff. You know, I could have probably inherited a bus system. Who knows? Who knows? Had we been real citizens from the get-go. Yeah? Stop acting dumb. Stop playing dumb. Acting like we not owed reparations. I mean, the conversation ain't going nowhere. This critical race theory, you know, I think they came up with this to distract you from reparations. They throwing all kinds of little distractions at us to take our eyes off reparations. This ain't no fad thing you can just talk about for a brief period of time. Nah. Come on, man. You look bad if you don't demand reparations from your politicians. You want my vote? Okay, you bring reparations, I'll vote for you. And they all know it. They make that promise, they're going to get a whole ton of votes. And if you disagree with it, okay, just won't vote for you. End of story. Nobody going to hunt you down. Not going to try to beat you up. I don't know what and I don't care about no critical race theory. Stop talking about it. All right, I feel a whole lot better. I had to get that off my chest. Shout out to everybody able to join me, and I will see you on the next.